Following the unbelievable blow to the series with Eli Tomac rupturing his Achilles tendon last week, the air seems to be deflated a bit as we rolled into the finale this weekend. Chase Sexton will be champion no matter what as long as Tomac doesn't come rolling out with a bionic leg, and when the checkered flag waves on the race tonight, we will have a new Monsterenergy AMA Supercross champion. There's still a lot to play for throughout the field though, with several points positions still up for grabs and crucially the fight for riders inside of the top 20 when the season ends, which means extra money. There's also the little storyline of both Jet and Hunter Lawrence having already claimed the 250SX titles, and both will run one plates this weekend as well for the East/West showdown.
Welcome to MxGP, the channel for all things motocross. From the latest news to exclusive content, we've got you covered. Whether you're a seasoned rider or a fan of the sport, we'll bring you the stories that matter most. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest content. And for our returning viewers, thank you for your continued support. And please support me by sending a little super thanks.
Free practice. The track was drying up quickly as the sun poked through and free practice began. The 250SX East group was up first as we got our first look at Hunter Lawrence's new 1E on the bike. Hayden Deegan had an early tip over as the track wore in with some slick areas still on top, but it was actually Jeremy Martin setting the early pace with a 50.080. Hunter Lawrence fired back to drop down to a 50.062, but he was once again pipped for top spot as Jordan Smith laid down a 49.749. The track will no doubt get faster as riders were still sliding around in certain spots, but the 250SX West class was soon to follow. Jet Lawrence wasted little time to shoot to the top of the board once the West boys hit the track, and he did so setting the new fastest overall time at a 49.648. Enzo Lopez was also strong early as he sat second with a low 50-second lap time before dipping down to a 49.918. Carson Mumford found himself in the 49s also with a 49.992 before RJ Hampshire really lit up the leaderboard with a 49.233. Lopez responded immediately to go to the top with a 49.100 and then Jet eclipsed that with a 48.691. It all capped off with Lopez once again going to the top with a 48.448 after a fury of mixing times around. The 450A group was next to hit the track, and we finally saw a few of the top guys tripling into the rhythm section after the whoops. Chase Sexton set the pace with a 48.278 with Ken Roczen right behind him on a 48.433. Only 15 riders ended up in the A group for this round, which meant most everyone was doing the same stuff. As such, times were pretty close at the top as Ken Roczen put in a 47.868 to end up ahead of Sexton's 48.119. Dean Wilson was solid in third with a 48.192. Combine qualifying sessions. Rain fell once again between the first and qualifying sessions, but it seemed like just enough to really water the track throughout again. When the East boys hit the track, Jordan Smith was the man to set the early pace as he immediately went down to a 47.288. Before long, the group was down into the 46-second range as Hunter Lawrence shot to the top with a 46.572, but Smith was right on his heels with a 46.593 of his own. Joe Shimoda, Jeremy Martin, and Hayden Deegan were all exchanging hot laps in P3-5, but each of them remained in the 47s. Hunter Lawrence's 46.572 remained the top time in the end. Levi Kitchen then won the field around for the West group and set the early pace as Jet Lawrence let the whole field go and fell to the back to find some open space. Jet's first timed lap then was a 48.044 to jump to the top, but it was still way off from the top times in the East. Kitchen took the top time back with a 47.751, but then Jet went down to a 47.471. The whoops were definitely getting more chewed up with some obvious blue groove spots on them which caught a few guys out. Lawrence lowered his time down to a 47.052 to top the session in the end, but it was still half a second back of his brother who ended up with the top time overall. Some light rain began falling as the final 450th session started, but conditions were still really good. Roczen and Sexton were shuffling the top spot around as Sexton had it early, but Roxanne went down to a 46.958. The top time from the first session of a 46.751 was still the mark though as the session crested the halfway point. Sexton did respond to go down to a 46.874 as he and Roxanne had a clear gap on the field. That's where the top time would remain, which meant the Q1 time put down by Sexton would hold to end up on top overall for the day.